Anderson da Silva is a Brazilian mixed martial artist and boxer. He is a former UFC Middleweight Champion and holds the record for the longest title reign in UFC history at 2,457 days. This started in 2006 and ended in 2013 and included a UFC record 16 consecutive victories in that span. Silva left the UFC in November 2020 and returned to boxing. UFC President Dana White, UFC commentator Joe Rogan and numerous mixed martial arts pundits have named Silva as one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time. Silva will be inducted in the UFC Hall of Fame in July 2023. Anderson da Silva has an estimated net worth of $8 million. About his early life. Silva was born on April 14, 1975, in São Paulo, Brazil. The son of a poverty-stricken family, he spent the majority of his childhood in Curitiba with his aunt and uncle, who was an officer with the Curitiba police force. Silva's first foray in martial arts began as a child training jiu-jitsu with neighborhood kids. As a teen, Silva began training in taekwondo, capoeira and muay thai. About Anderson's personal life. Silva has 3 sons and 2 daughters with his wife, Diane. Before he began his career as a professional fighter, Silva worked at McDonald's, and also as a file clerk. He considers Spider-Man, Bruce Lee, Muhammad Ali and his mother as biggest of his personal heroes, and has a stated love of comic books and comic book heroes. Silva has said on numerous occasions that he believes longtime friend and former UFC lightweight champion and UFC welterweight champion BJ Penn to be the greatest pound-for-pound fighter in the history of the sport. Silva expressed interest in competing in the sport of taekwondo and boxing. He floated around the idea of competing at the Olympics in taekwondo and fighting Roy Jones Jr. in a boxing match. Silva became a naturalized U.S. citizen in July 2019. About his career. Anderson Silva's first professional fight was in Brazil. He won one fight in 1997 in the welterweight category, and then followed up with another win. After a loss in the year 2000, Silva won his next 9 fights. He also generated buzz by becoming the first fighter to best Hayato Sakurai. His victory against the Japanese fighter led to his participation in Pride Fighting Championships, a Japanese-based organization. During his time with Pride, Silva defeated fighters such as Carlos Newton and Alex Stiebling. However, a crushing loss to Daiju Takase almost made Silva quit MMA. After a victory against Jeremy Horn, Silva joined Cage Rage. In Cage Rage, Silva beat Lee Murray before returning to Pride for his last fight with the organization. A loss against Ryo Chonan meant that he was cut from Pride. He beat Tony Freiklund before being disqualified for kicking a downed opponent in his fight against Yushin Okami. In 2006, Anderson Silva signed with the UFC. He made his debut with a stunning knockout victory against Chris Laban just 49 seconds into the first round. He followed this up with an equally convincing victory against Rich Franklin, claiming the middleweight title. After successfully defending his title against fighters such as Nate Marquardt and Dan Henderson, Silva moved up to light heavyweight to defeat James Irvin. In 2008, Anderson Silva fought Patrick Cote in what was the first in a line of disappointing fights. Although he won, fans were annoyed to see Silva intentionally avoiding contact with his opponent throughout the fight. In 2010, Anderson Silva caused embarrassment for the UFC yet again when he taunted his opponent and circled the octagon without engaging. Although he eventually won, the fans started to side with his opponent, Damian Maia, who was at least trying to engage in the fight. Later that year, Silva experienced more of a challenge when he fought Chael Sonnen, who repeatedly struck Silva and took him down time after time. Fortunately for Silva, he was able to escape with a submission to claim the victory. Silva followed up with victories against Vitor Belfort and Yushin Okami. He continued to win throughout 2012, but his unstoppable reputation was destroyed when he lost to Chris Weidman. Silva once again started to showboat in the second round before being knocked out by the underdog. The rematch also went badly for Silva, and the Brazilian fighter suffered serious fractures to his left leg after Weidman checked his leg kick, ending the fight. The injury required extensive surgery and would take months to heal. Silva won his first fight after returning to the UFC in 2015, but he later tested positive for numerous illegal substances. After being suspended for this offense, Silva faced Michael Bisping 2016. He lost the fight in a unanimous decision. He lost again against Daniel Cormier in 2016 but turned it around with a win against Derek Brunson in 2017. In 2019, Silva lost against Israel Adesanya and Jared Cannonier, signaling that his career was coming to an end. As of 2019, Anderson Silva's fights have generated almost 10 million PPV sales. Anderson Silva is considered one of the best strikers in UFC history, perhaps the best. Silva has an uncanny ability to dodge most of his opponent's strikes, at times taunting his opponent in the process. Silva went through much of his early UFC career relatively unscathed because of this elusiveness. While Silva avoids getting hit, he also strikes his opponent with incredible efficiency and accuracy. The vast majority of his strikes find their mark. He also transitions well through movement and can switch from southpaw to orthodox stances with no drop in performance. While Silva is considered to be better at striking than on the ground, he has submitted some of the best wrestlers in the UFC. Anderson Silva has endorsement and sponsorship deals with a variety of brands and organizations. This includes the sports marketing company Nine, the Corinthians soccer team in Brazil, and Burger King. He was previously sponsored by Nike before they left the UFC. Thanks for watching and please don't forget to subscribe, like and share.